There exists a language so profound, so deeply interwoven into the fabric of our being, that it surpasses words and speaks directly to the heart. This is the language of God, a voice that whispers through creation, moves through our bodies, and resonates in the quiet corners of our souls. Today I invite you to explore how the divine communicates through 9 physical signs, urging us to listen with not just our ears, but with our entire being. I.e., in the hustle and bustle of our daily lives, it is easy to become overwhelmed by the noise that surrounds us, the clamor of tasks, the constant buzz of technology, and the pressure of our ambitions often leave us distracted and distant from the deeper truths of life. Yet in the midst of this cacophony there exists a quiet, subtle invitation from God, a call for stillness. This invitation, though it may not announce itself with the force of a thunderclap, is no less powerful. It often arrives as a sudden calm, a moment where time seems to slow down, and the noise of the world fades into the background. This is not merely a moment of respite, it is a physical manifestation of God's presence, urging us to pause and pay attention. When we experience such moments, they are often unplanned, arriving when we least expect them. Perhaps it's in the middle of a busy day, when the thoughts of stress and worry suddenly quiet down for no apparent reason. Maybe it's during a conversation, when the words stop flowing and a peaceful silence settles between you and the other person. It could even be in nature, while walking outside, where the usual hum of life is replaced by a profound sense of peace that seems to envelop you. In these moments we are invited into a sacred space, a moment where we are reminded that God is near and that He is calling us to stop, reflect, and listen. This stillness is not a passive state. It is an active invitation to be present, to engage with the divine in a way that goes beyond our ordinary awareness. It is as if, in that moment, the barriers between the temporal and the eternal dissolve, and we are able to touch something deeper within ourselves and within the universe. It is in this stillness that we are often most open to God's voice, because it is in the quiet that we can hear what He has been trying to tell us all along. God does not shout, He speaks softly through our hearts and our souls, but to hear His voice we must first learn to silence the distractions that drown it out. Our natural inclination is to keep moving, to keep doing, because we fear what might be revealed in the quiet. There is often a resistance to this inner calm because it forces us to confront ourselves, to pause long enough to reflect on our lives, our choices, and our purpose. But this very stillness is a gift, a sign that God is at work within us, urging us toward transformation. It is in this space that we can find clarity, wisdom, and direction for the next step on our journey. God's stillness is not a withdrawal, it is an invitation into a deeper relationship with Him. It is a way of saying, "Come rest in my presence, and let your heart be renewed." In these moments we are reminded that we do not have to carry the weight of the world alone. God's peace, which surpasses all understanding, is available to us if only we take the time to stop and receive it. As we learn to recognize these moments of stillness as signs of God's voice, we become more attuned to His presence in every aspect of our lives. We begin to understand that the quiet is not emptiness, but a space filled with divine love, ready to guide and sustain us on our path. In our busy lives, there are times when we feel a subtle pull, an internal tug that draws our attention towards something or someone, even when there seems to be no logical explanation for it. This pull is not something we can always articulate, but it is real, and it carries a deep sense of significance. It's a divine nudge, a quiet whisper that directs us toward the right course of action or a new path. Often, this physical sensation manifests as an almost irresistible urge to move in a certain direction, or a sense of discomfort when we are on the wrong path. It is the Holy Spirit working within us, guiding us with a gentle but firm hand, urging us toward a purpose greater than our own understanding. This pull can appear at the most unexpected moments. Perhaps it is during a routine day at work, when a thought crosses your mind to reach out to someone you haven't spoken to in years. You may not know why, but you feel compelled to do so. Or it might happen when you're contemplating a major life decision, and suddenly an overwhelming sense of certainty or peace floods over you, confirming that this is the direction you need to take. It may even be a physical sensation, such as a warmth in your chest or a tightening in your gut, signaling that something important is being revealed to you. At times, this tug can be something subtle, a feeling that lingers at the back of your mind, whispering that you need to take action, that there's something you're missing. You may find yourself repeatedly thinking about a particular task, person, or place, as if God is reminding you of its significance. These nudges are not meant to cause distress, but to bring clarity. They are divine signals urging you to pay attention and act accordingly. They often come in moments of reflection, when you're open to listening and allowing your heart to be receptive to the voice of God. While these physical sensations may seem mysterious, they are not random occurrences. They are moments of divine intervention, designed to guide and direct us toward fulfilling the plan that God has set out for us. The difficulty often lies in recognizing these signs amidst the noise and distractions of life. It's easy to dismiss these promptings as coincidences or fleeting thoughts, but when we take the time to reflect and truly listen, we begin to see that they are indeed messages from God. What is required of us in these moments is discernment. We must be willing to pause, step back from our busy lives, and take notice of these internal cues. It is not enough to simply feel the pull, we must also be willing to follow it. The act of listening to and heeding these divine promptings requires trust and obedience. It requires us to believe that God is speaking to us even when we don't fully understand why or how. When we respond to these divine pulls, we open ourselves to the possibility of growth, transformation, and divine fulfillment. Each step we take in obedience strengthens our connection to God's will for our lives. This is how He leads us, not with force or coercion, but with gentle, consistent guidance that comes through a pull we cannot ignore, yet often cannot fully explain. It is a call to trust, to follow the invisible hand that is steering us toward a greater purpose. Dreams, in their mysterious and often elusive nature, have captivated human beings for centuries. Yet it is not just their enigmatic quality that holds our attention. Dreams can be one of the most profound ways in which God speaks to us. Throughout history, God has communicated with His people through dreams, providing guidance, revelation, and even warnings. These dreams are not mere products of our subconscious, nor are they simply a random firing of neural activity. They are a sacred space where the divine engages with us in ways that words often cannot. When we are open to the possibility that God speaks through our dreams, we begin to recognize them as powerful vessels for His messages. The experience of a dream that resonates deeply within us is unlike any other. It often leaves a lasting impression, an overwhelming sense of importance that demands our attention. These are not ordinary dreams where the details fade upon waking. They are vivid, clear, and stirring, staying with us long after we have opened our eyes. Such dreams may contain symbolism, specific instructions, or even answers to questions we have been grappling with in our waking lives. They are personal, intimate conversations between us and God, offering insights into our hearts, our fears, and our desires. One of the key aspects of God's communication through dreams is the sense of clarity that accompanies them. While our waking lives are filled with noise, distractions, and uncertainty, dreams have the ability to cut through the clutter and speak directly to our souls. It is in the quiet of the night, when the world has slowed down and our minds are at rest, that God often reveals truths that we may have been too busy or unwilling to acknowledge during our waking hours. These revelations may come in the form of encouragement, direction, or even conviction, but they always carry a sense of purpose. The messages conveyed in dreams are not immediately clear. They may come in the form of symbols, images, or scenarios that we don't fully understand. However, with prayer and reflection, we begin to see the connections and the meanings that lie beneath the surface. In these cases, God is inviting us to dig deeper, to seek His understanding, and to engage with Him in a process of discernment. It is a reminder that the divine realm is not always easy to comprehend, and that wisdom often requires patience, humility, and trust. There are also dreams that act as warnings or calls to action. These dreams serve as a divine alert, drawing our attention to potential dangers or encouraging us to take a step of faith. Perhaps we are facing a decision in our lives, and in the stillness of sleep, God provides us with a vision of the consequences, or He might show us a path that we hadn't considered. In these moments, the dream is not only a message but a divine invitation to move in a certain direction, to take heed of the lessons and warnings that have been presented to us. As we grow in our awareness of God's communication through dreams, we learn to approach them with a sense of reverence. They are sacred encounters with the divine, not to be taken lightly or dismissed as inconsequential. The more we pay attention to our dreams and the more we ask God for clarity and understanding, the more we open ourselves to the richness of His guidance. Dreams become not just random images but sacred dialogues, a powerful means through which God draws us closer to His will and purpose for our lives. When we listen, reflect, and respond, we are participating in a deeper relationship with God, one that transcends the boundaries of time and space and enters into the realm of the eternal. In the journey of life, there are moments when emotions wash over us in such intensity that we cannot help but take notice. These emotions, whether they come in the form of tears, an overwhelming sense of joy, or a deep stirring in our hearts, are not simply reactions to external events. They are often divine signals, moments when God reaches into the depths of our being to reveal something we might otherwise overlook. The emotions we experience in these instances are not random or incidental. They are often the physical manifestation of God's presence, speaking to us in a language that our hearts can comprehend. It is in these emotional experiences that we often encounter God's nearness. Tears, for instance, may come when we are praying, worshipping, or meditating on Scripture. These tears are not always born of sorrow. They can be tears of awe, of gratitude, or even of conviction. When the overwhelming presence of God fills the heart, it often expresses itself in tears that flow as a response to His grace, His mercy, or His love. In these moments, we are reminded that we are not merely passing through life in isolation. We are deeply connected to the Creator, and He is actively engaging with our hearts. A profound sense of joy can be another indication that God is speaking to us. This joy is not fleeting or superficial. It is a deep, abiding sense of contentment and fulfillment that transcends circumstances. It is a joy that wells up within us when we experience God's presence in a tangible way, whether through a meaningful connection with another person, an answered prayer, or a moment of divine revelation. This joy, unlike the happiness we often seek in the world, is rooted in something eternal. It is the joy of knowing that we are loved, that we are seen, and that God is with us. When we experience this kind of joy, it is a sign that God is revealing something of His nature to us, something that touches us at our core and fills us with a sense of purpose and peace. At times, the emotions we feel can also be more complex. We might experience a stirring in our hearts that doesn't easily fit into the categories of joy or sorrow. Instead, it may be a sense of longing, of anticipation, or even of conviction. These emotions can arise when God is calling us to change or to take a step of faith that feels uncomfortable or challenging. In these instances, God's voice might be heard not in a calm whisper, but in the intensity of the emotional experience. The stirring within us serves as a prompt to pay attention to what God is trying to communicate. It may be a call to let go of something that no longer serves us, to reconcile with someone we have hurt, or to move forward in a new direction that requires courage. Whether it is tears, joy, or a deep stirring of the heart, these emotional experiences are not mere coincidences. They are tangible signs of God's presence, His guidance, and His desire to connect with us on a deeper level. Emotions have the power to open our hearts to the divine, to make us receptive to God's voice, and to move us toward action. They remind us that we are not passive observers in this world, but active participants in the ongoing story of redemption. As we learn to recognize the divine within our emotions, we begin to see that every feeling, whether joy, sorrow, or something in between, has the potential to bring us closer to the heart of God. There are moments in life when we experience sensations that seem to defy explanation, an unexpected warmth that spreads through our body, a tingling sensation that travels down our spine, or a sense of peace that washes over us in an instant. These physical sensations are not mere coincidences or random occurrences. They are often the subtle, yet powerful ways in which God communicates with us. When we feel such sensations, they can serve as profound reminders of God's presence, affirming that we are not alone and that He is actively involved in our lives. One of the most common and striking physical sensations associated with divine presence is warmth. This warmth may manifest as a gentle heat that seems to emanate from within or surround us, often experienced in moments of prayer, worship, or quiet reflection. It is not a warmth that can be explained by external factors, such as the temperature of the room or the weather. Rather, it is a deep, comforting presence that penetrates our being. This warmth can be likened to a spiritual embrace, a reminder that God's love is real and tangible, wrapping around us in moments of vulnerability or uncertainty. In these instances, the warmth we feel is not simply a physical response. It is a manifestation of God's care and His desire to reassure us of His constant presence. Similarly, tingling sensations can occur during moments of heightened spiritual awareness. These tingling sensations are often felt in specific areas of the body, such as the hands, arms, or the crown of the head. For many, these sensations arise during prayer or moments of deep connection with God. While these experiences may seem mysterious or unsettling at first, they are often seen as signs that the Holy Spirit is moving within us. The tingling serves as a physical reminder that the Spirit is active, working within us to transform, guide, and empower us. It is as though our bodies are becoming attuned to the divine energy that surrounds us, awakening us to the presence of God in ways that our minds alone cannot fully comprehend. In addition to warmth and tingling, there are other physical sensations that can accompany moments of divine communication. A sense of heaviness in the chest, or a feeling of being moved by the Spirit, is one such sensation. This can occur during intense moments of prayer, worship, or spiritual awakening, when God is speaking directly to our hearts. These sensations may be a sign that God is bringing us closer to a truth that we need to hear, or revealing something important about our own hearts. In these moments, the physical sensations serve as an invitation to reflect and listen more intently to what God is saying to us. It is important to remember that these physical sensations are not merely emotional reactions, but a means by which God speaks to us in a very personal, intimate way. They are tangible, real experiences that affirm the spiritual realities we often cannot see. When we experience such sensations, we are being invited to recognize that God is near and that He is speaking to us in the language of our bodies. These sensations, far from being fleeting or inconsequential, are powerful signs of divine presence and guidance, meant to encourage us to pay closer attention to the deeper movements of our spirits. The key to understanding these physical signs is to remain open and attentive to their meaning. It is not enough to simply feel these sensations and dismiss them as coincidence. Instead, we must pause and reflect, asking God for clarity and understanding. What is He trying to communicate to us in this moment? How does this sensation connect with our prayers, thoughts, or the situation we are facing? By taking the time to acknowledge and reflect on these physical experiences, we open ourselves to the possibility of deeper spiritual growth and connection with God. Through warmth, tingling, and other sensations, God speaks directly to us, inviting us to draw closer to Him and to live more fully in His presence. The natural world around us is filled with beauty, complexity, and wonder, yet it is often easy to overlook the profound messages it carries. Every tree, every mountain, every stream, and every breeze is part of a greater narrative that speaks of the Creator's power, wisdom, and presence. For those who are open to hearing, nature itself becomes one of the most powerful ways in which God communicates with us. The sounds of the earth, the shifting of the seasons, and the patterns in the sky are not simply the result of random natural processes. They are deliberate expressions of God's design, meant to reveal His nature and guide our hearts. When we begin to see the world around us not just as a backdrop to our daily lives, but as a vibrant testament to God's glory. We become more attuned to the divine messages hidden in plain sight. One of the most obvious ways that nature speaks to us is through its beauty. A breathtaking sunset, the vibrant colors of autumn leaves, the delicate petals of a flower, each of these moments can serve as a reminder of God's creative power and his desire to communicate with us through the world he made. The magnificence of nature points us toward the transcendent, encouraging us to pause and reflect on the grandeur of the Creator. When we take the time to appreciate the intricate details of a flower or the expansive horizon, we are invited to recognize that this beauty is not random but intentional. It speaks of a purposeful design, one that invites us to marvel at the infinite creativity and wisdom of God. Beyond beauty, nature also speaks through its rhythms and cycles. The changing of the seasons, the rising and setting of the sun, the ebb and flow of the tides, these natural cycles mirror the rhythms of life itself. Just as the earth moves through cycles of growth, dormancy, and renewal, so too do we. God often uses these patterns to remind us of the seasons in our own lives. There are times when we, like the winter, need rest and renewal, and there are times when we, like the spring, are called to new beginnings and growth. The steady march of time in nature helps us understand that life is a journey marked by transitions, changes, and opportunities for transformation. In addition to beauty and cycles, nature speaks to us through its sounds. The rustling of leaves in the wind, the songs of birds, the crashing of waves against the shore, all of these sounds are reminders of God's presence. The Bible itself describes God's voice as being heard in the natural world, from the whisper of a gentle breeze to the thunderous roar of a storm. In moments of quiet reflection, the sounds of nature can stir our spirits and remind us that God is speaking to us, not in the noise of the world, but in the gentle, constant hum of creation. When we listen attentively, we can hear his voice in the world around us, calling us to pause, to reflect, and to remember that we are a part of this intricate web of life. Moreover, nature serves as a reminder of God's faithfulness and provision. The birds of the air and the lilies of the field, as Jesus taught, are taken care of by God, and if he provides for them, how much more will he care for us? The regularity with which nature operates, how the sun rises every day, how the rain nourishes the earth, how the seasons unfold predictably, reminds us of God's constant faithfulness. Nature points us toward a deeper trust in his provision and a greater awareness of his presence in our lives. As we begin to recognize nature as a form of divine communication, we learn to see the world through new eyes. Each tree, each cloud, each ripple in the water becomes an opportunity to encounter God. Nature, in all its forms, is a language that speaks of God's love, his majesty, and his invitation to us to experience his presence in the world he has created. When we listen to the natural world with spiritual ears, we begin to hear the whispers of the Creator, reminding us of our place in his creation and inviting us to live in harmony with his will. There are times in life when we experience moments of profound clarity, when our thoughts, decisions, and actions align in such a way that we cannot deny the presence of something greater at work. These moments often come when we are least expecting them, when we have surrendered our own plans and simply allowed ourselves to be still, to listen, and to trust. It is in these moments that we feel the unmistakable sense that God is leading us, guiding us with a gentle but firm hand, and revealing his will for our lives. The sense of peace that accompanies these moments is not born of external circumstances. It is an inner knowing that transcends logic and reason. It is the peace that comes from knowing that we are in alignment with God's plan, that we are walking the path he has set before us. This peace, which surpasses all understanding, is one of the most profound signs that God is speaking to us. It is not a fleeting, temporary feeling, but a deep, abiding sense of calm that settles in our hearts and minds. In times of uncertainty or fear, this peace becomes a rock, a steady anchor that keeps us grounded in the midst of chaos. It is a reminder that, no matter what challenges we may face, we are not alone. God is with us, guiding us and sustaining us with his presence. When we experience this peace, we know that we are not merely moving through life on our own strength, but that we are being carried by the grace of God. The peace that comes when God is speaking to us is also a peace that affirms our decisions. It is as though the weight of uncertainty is lifted, and we are filled with a sense of assurance and confidence in the direction we are taking. This peace does not mean that everything will be easy, or that there will be no obstacles ahead, but rather it is a confirmation that we are on the right path, that we are moving in the direction that God has ordained. It is a peace that enables us to step forward with courage, knowing that God is at work within us, and that His plans for us are good. This peace can also manifest itself in the resolution of inner conflict. There are moments when we struggle with decisions, torn between different options, or unsure of what course to take. In these times, God often speaks through the peace that comes when we finally make the right decision. This peace is not just a feeling of relief, it is a sense of wholeness, as though all the pieces of the puzzle have finally come together. It is a sign that we are no longer divided in our hearts and minds, but that we are in alignment with God's will. At times, this peace can even be felt in physical ways. Some people describe a sense of lightness, or warmth, or a feeling of being embraced, as though they are enveloped in God's love. These physical sensations are further confirmation that the peace we feel is not merely emotional or mental, but is the tangible presence of the Holy Spirit. When we experience this peace, it is as though God is saying, "You are exactly where you need to be, and I am with you every step of the way." It is essential, however, to recognize that this peace is not always immediately available to us. In moments of doubt, fear, or confusion, we may struggle to find this sense of calm. But in those times, God is still speaking to us, inviting us to trust Him, even when we do not yet feel the peace that we seek. The process of seeking God's peace is often one of surrender, of laying down our own desires and plans and allowing His will to take precedence. As we learn to trust God more fully, we begin to experience His peace more consistently, not as something that depends on our circumstances, but as a constant companion in our relationship with Him. When we recognize the peace that accompanies God's guidance, we are invited to step forward in faith, trusting that He will continue to lead us. This peace is a sign that God is speaking to us, that He is directing our paths, and that we can trust Him to guide us every step of the way. It is a reminder that, no matter what lies ahead, we are held in His loving embrace, and He will never leave us nor forsake us.